Are we ready? We're up and running. Perfect. I'll call the meeting to order and I'll look for a roll call, please.
Welcome to the May 11th, 2026 council meeting. We'll begin with roll call of council. Mayor Clark.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Bell.
Present.
Councillor Snutch.
Present.
Councillor Fisher.
Present.
Councillor Tuyu.
Present.
Councillor Goff.
Present.
Councillor Bell.
Present.
Thank you. We have quorum.
This meeting is being streamed live on the Township of Ramara YouTube channel. Be advised that by attending a public meeting of the Council of the Township of Ramara, you are consenting to your image, voice, and comments being recorded and will form a part of the public record. The chair, CAO, and/or clerk have the discretion and authority to terminate or interrupt the live streaming in exceptional circumstances where the content of debate is considered inappropriate to be published. Thank you.
Okay, I'll look for the approval of the agenda, please, Rebecca.
That the council agenda dated May 11th, 2026 be adopted as presented.
Any questions rising from the agenda? Not seeing any. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by the Deputy Mayor, a second by Councillor Goff. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Do I have a disclosure of pecuniary interest by any member of council? Not seeing any, but if you find yourself in that situation later, please declare it at that time. So under announcements, I have a few here. I'll start with the 2026 Bike Challenge. Ramara Trails Committee invites you to get involved in the 2026 Bike Challenge, a 9-week community event running from May 11th to July 12th, presented by Sustainable Aurelia and Simcoe Muskoka District Health Unit. This initiative invites residents to cycle more and drive less and encourages families to get active together. So please visit www.sustainableaurelia.ca. And of course, Victoria Day, just a reminder that this weekend will be our first weekend of the summer, and the administration building will be closed on Victoria Day, Monday, May 18th, 2026, reopening Tuesday at 9 a.m. And hope everybody has a great Victoria Day weekend. As we approach the long weekend, here's a reminder about fireworks, everyone. The regulations, Ramara, you are not permitted at any time to have fireworks in Lagoon City or on a short-term rental, on roads or public land, or during a fire ban, of course. And while normally you need a fireworks permit for areas like Bayshore Village, no permit is required for Victoria Day weekend from dusk till 11 p.m. And for more information about fireworks, visit ramara.ca/fireworks. And the last of my announcements, actually, sign-up day is upon us. And as you may have noticed, my name is not in. Many of you probably saw my CTV interview a few weeks ago. I am not seeking re-election for Ramara Council. A little shaky when I say that after 26 years. So I want to take this moment to thank the Ramara citizens. I will not be putting my name forward. I encourage everybody out there that's got any interest in municipal politics at all, now's the time. Get your name in, have your voice heard, run for election. And if not, at least get out and vote when the time comes. You're going to hear me say that all year long, how important it is to please get out and vote. So with that, is there any other announcements? Deputy Mayor.
Start with saying happy Mother's Day to everybody for yesterday. Hope everybody enjoyed their day. May 2nd, went to the Ramona Hall's last fish and chips for the year until this fall. May 9th, on Saturday night, I went to the Aurelia Sports Hall of Fame. We really need to pay attention to this because there is a lot of Ramara residents that have been nominated and actually selected for this. But this year we had Ryan Smith, who is a figure skater, Richie Scott, an NHL player, the 1985 Travelways team, which is the second time a team's been actually nominated to the Hall of Fame, Tracy's Wires for figure skating, for being a builder, and Athlete of the Year was interesting. It's Spencer Shropshire. I've known him his whole life. Under 19 Ontario Junior Championship for golf this year. So 2025, he was named the Athlete of the Year. He is a Ramara resident. He also got a scholarship to Michigan University, full scholarship. And his final round winning the junior golf was actually a 62, which anybody who golfs is pretty phenomenal. He's the second person in Simcoe County to have won the junior championship title under 19. The other one was a female out of Barrie, Paige Sefton. So it's pretty interesting to see that. But this past weekend, we had 4 wrestlers go to the Canadian Wrestling Championships for under 14 in Nova Scotia, Halifax, and all 4 came back with gold medals. So we had a great year there. And I'll just reiterate a post that I put out. Liam, he's a resident of Ramara Township, goes to Ramah Central School. He won a gold for the city's championship wrestling. And for the counties, also Ramara Public School for the first time ever brought home their first county flag for winning the most points at that championship. So that was a pretty amazing thing. Last thing, in 2 weeks, our Mariposa wrestling team is sending 3 kids to Montreal to try out for the Canadian national wrestling team. 2 are Ramara residents. What this means, Leah Hancock and Trent Sweet are the 2 kids from Ramara Township. If they make it, there's a high chance that they will be in the next Olympics. So that's pretty exciting news for me.
Boy, that is exciting news. Thank you.
Yep.
Councillor Fisher, guess we'll go right down the table today.
All right, great. Actually, mine won't be a long post. There was actually only one activity this week this past couple weeks that I was at. Casino Rama hosted in partnership with Scott's Garden Center right here in Ramara, a planter workshop for Mother's Day. So I participated in that, had some good foods. They hosted it at the patio at the Match Restaurant. So it was absolutely wonderful. Met some new people. People came from everywhere, not just where we would think close. We had people come down from Muskoka, over from Collingwood, up from Barrie. There's people all over the place that came to this event. So it was really lovely to see the support.
Great. Councillor to you.
Thanks. On April 28th, Councillor Fisher and I attended the National Day of Mourning ceremony at the monument in Tuttle Park to honor those who have gotten injured, fallen ill, or been killed at the workplace. Progress has been made, but sadly, incidents continue to happen. Everyone has the right to feel safe on the job. That same afternoon, I attended an event put on in Washego by the Couchiching Conservancy to talk about the Black River wildlands. This was a great session where a lot of people came to talk about how we can better protect our waterways. It was quite interesting to learn about some of the pain points, mostly flooding, as well as hear some great ideas around the table. On Sunday, May 3rd, I had the privilege of laying a wreath on behalf of Ramara Township at the Barrie Cenotaph, alongside the MP, MPP and AG Downey, Mayors Nuttall and Dolan, and the Royal Canadian Air Cadets and Sea Cadets to commemorate the Battle of the Atlantic and the sacrifice made by so many in the Navy and Air Force in support of our European allies. The commander of the Royal Canadian Navy, Vice Admiral Angus Topshee, spoke to the solemn occasion, taking the time to approach and personally thank everyone for their dedicated service, sacrifice, and commitment, from the veterans to the littlest Navy leaguers. And over the last 2 weeks, it has been an incredibly busy time for talented young musicians in our area who participated in the Kiwanis Festival and did so well. It was pretty cool to see quite a few familiar faces asked to perform at the Festival of Encores at the Aurelia Opera House, including Sienna, William, and Pavo, with an enthusiastic group of kids from Rama starting the evening off right. Twin Lakes had their spring concert a couple of days later, where once again, it was a delight to see so many students from Ramara and the Rama community shine.
Okay, Councillor Bell.
Thank you. I also want to shout out to mothers because women, we are strong and resilient. Woohoo. So thanks to all the moms out there for that. On the Simcoe County Loop Trail, I just wanted to add as well that, that this year the Simcoe County Loop is part of the Sustainable Aurelia Initiative this year. So there are Cycle Simcoe t-shirts if people choose to go and do that. I want to just note as well, the Aurelia Museum may be, there's some possibility of it closing. And while we are in Ramara, I don't think it hurts to weigh into Aurelia and give your perspective on whether the museum should stay after it houses our history as well as Aurelia's. It's regional, so I think it's important, and hopefully Aurelia would be happy to hear from us. On the elections, I wanted to also top up and just say, remember, whether you're full-time or seasonal, your vote matters. And so if you don't know how to vote, to follow the township so that you can figure out how to make sure you're on the voters list. Locally, I think the last 2 weeks was the Smile Cookie campaign. I think we all missed that. So congratulations to Ramara Township Public Library. Friends of the Library did a great job this year. I had a chance to pop in and see them, and I heard how much their hands hurt from squeezing those icing bags. So we must have been able to sell a lot of cookies. So that's good news, and thanks to Tim Hortons for that. This Friday coming, there is a grand opening at Lagoon City's Marina. So the jewel of Lake Simcoe is going to return with a new restaurant and some other amenities, and they are inviting anyone from the public to join and have a chance to look at what's new. And then finally, on May 27th, Couchiching Ontario Health Team has its wellness fair at the Couchiching Family Health Team building on Memorial Avenue in Orillia. So that's open to all of the Couchiching Ontario region. And there are a number of workshops throughout the day. You'll have a chance to talk to representatives from different service providers in the region. And it runs all day long. Double check the hours just while I'm here. I think that it is, 10, it starts at 10 a.m. and then runs throughout the day until the afternoon. So I think that's enough for me.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other announcements? It's a busy time of year. You'll find this is when the festival starts. This is when everybody gets geared up for the season. So presentations, I have none this morning. Public and special meetings of council, no, and no deputations. Open public forum, I do have a couple here. I've got Trevor Bruce on item 1153. And then I have Kaylee Bruce as well. So, but
Yeah, so we've prepared a joint statement, if it's okay for 2 minutes.
Yep,
Thank
perfect.
you.
Go ahead.
Okay. So, hello, Mayor Clark and members of council. We're speaking today for a second time after our initial statement on January 26th in regards to item 11.5.3 on today's agenda from the perspective of relatively recent home buyers in Ramara Township and residents of Sunset Drive. We received staff report CS 13-26 only on Friday and remain confused, concerned, and in disagreement with regards to the township stance that Sunset Drive is unassumed. Holiday Road, Warren Road, Georgina Drive, and Sunset Drive are 4 gravel roadways off of Lakeshore Drive on the same plan of subdivision and built at the same time. Based on a quick reference on Google Maps, Holiday Road is 260 meters long with 7 houses. Warren is 240 meters long with 3 residences. Georgina is 210 meters long with 3 residences. And Sunset Drive is 150 meters long with 5 residences. When you run the math, Sunset Drive is the most densely populated road of all 4 with a density of roughly 30 meters per house, and therefore provides the township with the highest rate of revenue in terms of dollars per meter of all these 4 roads. Based on this development density, a lack of infill should not be a reason as to why this road would not be assumed. We still do not see any material difference between Sunset Drive and the other roadways built under the same plan of subdivision that would lead the township to conclude that this road is unassumed. It should be reasonable to expect that if a road is unassumed, this would be made obvious to the public through road signage and online GIS information to inform potential home buyers, who otherwise may unwittingly purchase property on said roads and would then be shocked one morning when the township decides to suddenly stop routine maintenance on the access to their property. Municipal road standards are defined in specific documents. To date, we have only been told without detail that Sunset Drive does not meet municipal standards without indication as to what specific OPSS or OPSD standard Sunset Drive is not in compliance with. If the township is certain of the assumption status of Sunset Drive, in distinction from the other 3 roads mentioned earlier, the specific deficiencies of Sunset Drive, the timing of their discovery, and the reason why these deficiencies were not addressed at the time should be a simple matter of record and should be shared with us as taxpayers and affected residents. We're here today asking for the township and council for the specific rationale and reasoning behind why the township believes Sunset Drive is unassumed. We hope the council can see the human side of this matter and appreciate the significant burden of liability suddenly placed on us by the township this January and act with common sense and compassion. Thank you all for your time.
thank you. And as everybody's aware, it's later in our agenda. Okay. So with that, it's the opening forum. I'll look at our minutes. We're approving our previous minutes.
That the minutes of the following meetings be adopted as presented. Council meeting minutes dated April 27th, 2026. Council meeting closed session minutes dated April 27th, 2026.
I have a mover for the minutes, moved by Councillor Fisher, second by Councillor Goff. Any questions arising from the minutes? Not seeing any. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. So now we'll reconvene into committee of the whole.
That council recess and convene as committee of the whole at 9:44 a.m.
Moved by Councillor Tuyu, second by the deputy mayor. All in favor? That is carried. Okay, I don't expect, next we need to go into closed session.
That pursuant to section 239(4) of the Municipal Act 2001, SO 2001, Chapter 25, notice is hereby given that the Committee of the Whole intends to hold a closed session meeting in the Richard P. Bates Boardroom at 9:44 a.m. to deal with item 10.2.1 regarding litigation update and strategy, road widening on Ramara Road 47 matter, being matters pursuant to section 239(2)E litigation or potential litigation, and F advice subject to solicitor-client privilege of the said act.
Okay, quite a motion moved by Counselor Goff, second by Counselor Bell. Any questions about the in-camera? Of course, can't discuss it. All in favor? That is carried. I don't expect will be very long, folks, just the one item. Thank you. Soon as we get everybody back. If I give it 5 minutes, it'll let me log back in. No, I can, yeah. Are we ready? Oh. Okay, are we ready? Perfect. So I'll look for the motion to rise.
And that committee of the whole rise from closed session at 10:22 a.m. and reconvene in open session and report.
Moved by Counselor Goff, second by Counselor Fisher, all in favor? That is carried. And in our motion from in camera.
And that report CS 1426 regarding litigation update and strategy, road widening on Ramara Road 47 matter be received, and that the confidential direction to staff be adopted. And that report CS 1426 be referred to the May 11th, 2026 council agenda for same day ratification.
Okay, moved by Counselor Fisher, second by Counselor Bell. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Let's see, council reports. Board and committee reports. So I have council referral reports, and that's 11-4-1. From City of Aurelia. Yes. So we're on 11-4 right now. Go ahead, Rebecca.
That report AD 1026 regarding City of Aurelia recreation funding request be received, and that the City of Aurelia be advised that the Township of Ramara acknowledges and appreciates the significance, quality, and value of the recreational services provided by the City of Aurelia and the benefits those services offer to Township residents. And that the Township requests that City of Aurelia staff work collaboratively with Township staff to develop a 6-month data collection protocol to clearly identify and understand Township resident use of city facilities and programs. And that Township staff be directed to develop and implement a community engagement strategy to assess Township resident support for the Township providing financial contributions to the City of Aurelia to offset non-resident user fees. And that staff report back to council once the above information and engagement results are available.
Okay, can I have a move by Counselor Goff, second by Counselor, the Deputy Mayor? Kind of a slippery slope the city's playing on here, because if all of a sudden the membership drops off, they're saying over 50% are from outside the city, so we want a 50% user fee. But so if it drops off to 20%, are they going to drop the rate to 20%? Because that leaves you in a bigger deficit. It's always a slippery slope when you're playing around with special service charges and user fees, because if you make them too high, you lose the customers and then you're less profitable. So I'll support the motion that we look into it, more and more information, but I couldn't support given the amount of money they're looking for. Deputy Mayor.
I'd agree. I think there's some interesting numbers which we were hoping would come out of this too, right? Which is, I mean, looking at this, there's 13% of the people that are attending there are Ramara residents, which are 3,500. That's 30% of our population are utilizing the rec center, which shows that there's definitely a need for it, which I think we should listen to the people. If there's 30%, we need to have the conversations and see what we come up with. And even if it is preliminary talks, I think it's worthwhile.
Counselor Snutch.
Yeah, I don't think we should look into this at all. We don't usually get very far in dealing with Aurelia on any matters. And I don't want the regular tax-based people to be subsidizing the Aurelia Rec Center or the memberships of the people that live in Ramara. So I'll be voting totally against this.
You, Counselor Bell.
Thank you. I think there's a few things that need to be said. First of all, I'm grateful that we have Aurelia and that we have a place for our residents to go. And I think we have to acknowledge what our situation is. So we know that our tax base remains relatively unchanged. We know that we are roughly 415 square kilometers. So no matter where one accesses recreation, they're going to have to drive to do it. And we don't have any transportation. We know that our population is nearly 50% are 55 and 28% of those are 65 and over. So we know what our recreation realities are. And on top of that, we just completed our master rec plan in 2025. The summary found on page 5 for anyone who's interested sets our priorities: upgrading Ramara Center, Brecken, Udney, and Longford Mills community centers. However, we have not done a facilities tour. And as we stand today, we don't know what the AODA, we know what the AODA, the OSG report was from 2024. The public does not. So the public is at a disadvantage when we are making these decisions. So I think what's clear is that we need to be, in my belief, is that we need to be working well with Aurelia as the center of 5 municipalities where we have the opportunity for collaboration and various kinds of partnerships to best serve our region and ultimately best serve Ramara's taxpayers. So I think I'm in support of respectfully requesting that Aurelia is willing to work with our staff on 6-month data collection, but to inform where we are with our overall master rec strategy. So we know what some of those priorities are, and things like swimming, we know we're not going to be able to provide. So we would need Aurelia for that. So I think we have to take a tactic that says, I hear Councillor Snatch, I don't really care what happened in the past. What I want to do is build a new relationship with Aurelia moving forward. So I think there's an opportunity here for that. So I support a respectful request to work with their staff. The thing that I don't support on this motion is that we at Ramara engage in any community outreach right now. I think 6 months of data has to come back before we can go out and talk to Ramara's residents about what they think. So we can't really talk to them right now any more than we just did with the master rec plan in 24-5. So I would just want to remove that piece. And so the next council would determine when engagement happens.
Okay, any other comments on the, Councillor Tuyu?
Thanks. I've had several kids go through recreation programming with the city of Aurelia, and I was happy to pay the non-resident fee. And I don't know, I think that's the kind of thing that if you want to have your kids in those programs, people pay. And I don't think people that aren't using those programs should be paying. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Fisher?
Thank you. I just want some clarity on some of the numbers on page 2. First paragraph talks about that Aurelia residents were approximately 44, while non-residents were 56%. Then it says Township of Ramara residents accounted for approximately 13% of total non-resident usage. So I read that to be 13% of the 56%. And then further down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th paragraph down, it says about Aurelia's position that 13% of rec usage is attributed to the township. So the numbers just right now, is it 13% of 56% or is it 13% of 100?
To me, it read like 13% of the 100. Yeah. But again, I question when they say over 56% is from outside the city. I mean, when we've got to drive to get there, it's just, I'm questioning why their numbers are so low. Brittany, go ahead, Ms. Wilson.
Yeah, just to clarify, sorry if it's confusing, it's 13% of the non-resident users.
Oh, so 13% of the 46.
Yeah.
So then further down where it says a contribution of $260,000 on Aurelia's position that 13% of rec usage is to the township. Is that then that 13% to 100%? Is that the 260?
5% of the overall is what it would be then, correct?
Yeah, so the 260,000 is on Aurelia's position, 13% of your recreation usage. So the 13% is still referring to 13% of the 50 or the 40, 56%, sorry.
So, but that 260
is that is the dollar value that they've tied to that number of users.
Okay.
Right. Because they're running at a pretty big deficit, right? Which most rec programs do, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I think the other piece of it is that we know that it's important to understand what our residents are using that for in this conversation, because we know that the biggest loss that any recreation center has is swimming pools. I mean, chemicals alone are, I think, $1 million a year. So they usually cause the biggest deficit in rec centers. So I think that I'd like to know and understand how much we're participating in that portion of it.
if we can find that out. Councillor Bell.
Thank you. So I'm not sure, but whenever's discussion is finished, though, I will put the amendment on the floor to remove the, and that staff be directed to develop and implement a community engagement strategy to assess township resident support for the township, providing financial contributions to City of Aurelia to offset non-resident fees. So I just want to remove that because I don't think we're there yet for engagement. Whenever a discussion is finished, that's my amendment.
Any other discussion on the actual main motion, Councillor Snutch?
So this is going to be money, involves the budget. Why wouldn't we just defer this to the next council?
We want to gather the information.
But if the next council doesn't want to spend the money anyways,
Well, we don't know what the next council is, but at least they'll have the full information when it comes from, or we can make the decision today that we're just not interested, which I think you've made your statement clear that you're not interested in the user fees at any level. I want to hear from the folks. I want to see what programs we're actually using in the city of Aurelia, because it might be something we can start to provide here as well. Like again, a swimming pool, that's a little different ball game, but I mean, we do have commercial pools in this township that maybe a partnership with them would serve the same purpose. So first, you've got to gather the information before you can go any further. Councillor Fisher, and then I'll look for the amendment.
Just to follow up with Councillor Bell's amendment, I would be mostly comfortable seconding that amendment, but perhaps I'm wondering if during this time, because I'm sure they're going to want an answer, and then we're going to want, like, if the 6 months, and then at that point after the 6 months, to develop a community engagement strategy. So, Councillor Bell, would you be comfortable with your amendment to say that develop a community engagement strategy and just take out the word and implement and defer the implementation until after we gather the information?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay, so I'll get an amendment on the floor and then we'll
Okay, through the chair, we do have an amendment drafted, so we'll just read it. And if there's something different that you were looking to achieve with it, please let me know and we'll adjust. We're just putting it on the screen here. So the motion for the amendment currently is moved by Councillor Bell, seconded by Councillor Fisher, that the motion before committee of the whole be amended to the following. Amend and that township staff be directed to develop a community engagement strategy to assess township resident support for the township, providing financial contributions to the City of Aurelia to offset non-resident user fees, and amend and that staff report back to council once the above information is available.
get the nods around the table. Any issues with doing, I don't know why we wouldn't do the two simultaneously, but you're understanding what's asked for here. Get it, have it ready when the information goes back together, correct?
Yeah, no, that's fine. Thanks.
Deputy Mayor?
I disagree with that amendment, and I'll tell you why. It's not, I understand where you come from, but I don't think it's ever too early for public consultation. I think all of a sudden we make a decision in a few months or start this and people don't even understand it's been happening. I think that the earlier you start public consultation, there's going to be a couple of rounds of it. I think the sooner we get it out to the public, a lot of people may not even know that they have the option to go to the Aurelia Rec Center. So I think that it is important they're done simultaneously.
I kind of felt the same because you want all the results to come to the new council in 6 months. The staff report comes, the public report comes. Now they can face a decision. If not, you're just kicking the can farther down the road again. Councillor Fisher and Councillor Bell on your motion.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess my rebuttal would be, what are we consulting them with if we don't have the information back from Aurelia other than what is available right here that the public can read?
Brittany.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can see the value in either direction. I think that if we could work, even if we're not holding off entirely to the end of the 6 months, but even if we could gather some of that data initially to find out what the right questions are to ask the public, maybe that is the route that we should go. I think because you're correct. It's the data that we have is there, and the numbers are strong, but it's hard to kind of identify what those numbers truly mean at this point. So I think, to be honest, the intention of the suggested motion wasn't necessarily to wait until to do it right away, but almost simultaneously we start the work, get some data, and then we could start the implementation of a strategy trying to connect with the residents. So I think we're all in a roundabout way trying to say the same thing, but if we could clarify it a bit, that would be helpful.
Okay, Councillor Bell.
Thank you. So I was just being friendly when I agreed to Councillor Fisher's amendment. So I would not be implementing any kind of engagement strategy prior to receiving more data about who's using the system. So I don't actually see the value at all, really. Again, I was just being nice. Sure, if you want to get it ready to go, then we'll get it ready to go. But realistically, that has a cost. And we still, today, we're the council who's leaving. We don't know what future council will do as far as returning itself to a regional perspective, working with our partners in Oro, Severn, Rama, and Aurelia, knowing that Aurelia is our center. And, we have things like Aurelia can send a bus out to Coldwater, but it doesn't send a bus out to Ramara. So I think, it's not this job of this council right now. It's the job of the 26 to 30 council to figure out what kind of relationship it wants to build with the region. And recreation would be just one component of a regional perspective. I think any allocation of funds right now with no additional data from Aurelia just doesn't make any sense. So, again, it's just out of kindness. If you want to get a document ready that tells us this is the engagement we want to do later, that's what I'm agreeing with. But I'm not agreeing with any kind of engagement or any dollar spent until we have an overall strategy about where this goes, and that's the next council's duty.
Okay, I guess that's where we'll disagree then. So I will look for a motion on the amendment. All in favor of the amendment? All opposed? That is defeated. All in favor of the motion as written? I think I had a mover and a seconder, did I not? Yes, I did.
Through the chair, yes, the original
On the original
had
motion,
reference.
all in favor?
Sorry, I would want to separate the motion then, because I agree with some of it and oppose some of it. So I agree with the first two parts, but I don't agree with the third part. So I don't want a compound motion. I would like to separate the motion so I can vote appropriately.
I would disagree. I think you had an amendment that was defeated. The motion is what the motion is. So then I would go forward with the motion as it's written. So all in favor of the motion? Opposed? Two opposed. It is carried. Thank you. So the department reports, 11.51, implementing the bids and tenders. Rebecca, please.
That report ID 1526 regarding the implementation of bids and tenders be received, and that $6,200 be authorized from the municipal modernization funding to be used for the implementation. And that report ID 1526 be referred to the May 11th, 2026 council agenda for same day ratification.
I have a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Snutch, second by Councillor Fisher. Questions or comments? No, Deputy Mayor.
I'll just say that this is pretty standard. I think that it's shocking we haven't gone here, and I think it's overdue. I think we'll save that in probably the first two tenders that we put in.
Yep. Agreed. All in favor?
Sorry, I had just a couple of quick questions on it, actually.
Go ahead.
So I just want to be sure that staff actually did do a comparison. So it wasn't just one, whoever did, one site was chosen or one software was chosen. And then just to confirm that the $6,000 is there, I don't know whether there's any customization or training required. And if so, does that sit inside the $6,000?
General Manager.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So to answer your second question first, yes, that is training, and that's a big component of the cost of that. The second part of that is there are two sites that are generally used, although bids and tenders is the more frequently used one by vendors for the municipal procurement process. It is less than the $25,000 low value purchase. This is the direction we want to go to because they offer all of the modules that we require.
Okay.
Thank you. I guess the only comment I would make is that I'm always opposed to same day ratification. And I don't think that shows any transparency or ability for the public to engage. So obviously, I understand why we're doing this, and I will move it forward today, but I am just stating again for the record that I oppose same day ratification on this or any other.
Thank you. That is noted. All in favor of the motion again? And that was carried. Renovation to the Ramara washrooms. Go ahead, Rebecca.
That report ID 1426 regarding renovation of the Ramara Center washrooms be received, and that council authorized the repairs to the Ramara Center washrooms to proceed as set out in report ID 1426, and that $40,000 be allocated from the capital reserve to complete this work, and that report ID 1426 be referred to the May 11th, 2026 council agenda for same day ratification.
Thank you. Can I move by Counselor Goff, second by Counselor Tuyu? This is an unfortunate one, but the temporary solution didn't make financial sense at all because we'd end up spending more. Again, you'd like to see the full renovation take place, but that I think is going to need more. We're commissioned to do a study of all our buildings now, so I think this is a repair. Let's get it done. Let's get things working. So I'd support it. Is there any other comments? Disappointing, I can say that. Counselor Bell.
Thank you. I guess, yeah, my comments really relate to a couple of things. One, we haven't done the facilities tour. Two, the public still has not seen the OSG report, doesn't know what the full picture of AODA compliance is across the township facilities. I guess my concern or question is the municipality is who ensures AODA compliance anyway. So, and I don't want to circumvent AODA compliance. I think it is meant to be in the public domain since it's for the public. So that it concerns me that we're again making decisions where we have some information that the public doesn't have and so on. And I'm also concerned that the numbers, it's a large number to spend on a repair, and I'm not grasping, is the repair a throwaway? It doesn't go down the toilet, no pun intended. Because if the total repair to the building is 250,000 and this repair is 50, when we do the total repair at 250, are we throwing 50 away? So that does concern me because I don't, if it's just, I would like to see the next council apply for some funding and do this properly or take some money out of reserves and do what needs to be done to the building if we're not going to make that decision. But I don't really want to throw away $50,000 more.
General Manager.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So no, the short answer is no, this repair would be still required in some shape or form, regardless of what we are doing. However, because we do not know what those complete renovations would look like in the absence of a design, it is possible that it could be changed again. But regardless, in some shape or form, even if the structure was going to be the same and none of the in-floor was to change, this would still need to be done. So it's not that it would be done and then completely tossed away, but it's hard to say. It might be altered depending on where the design for the future would go with those washrooms.
The trouble is we're stuck with a repair that has to get done.
I think it was a couple of months ago I reported when they went into the bathroom, you could walk on the tiles, and you walked on the tiles and the water would actually squish out from underneath the tiles. There's that much water sitting below. So it has to be fixed because it's just too much of a danger, too much of a risk. Otherwise, shutting down the building is what we have to do.
Any other comments? So all in favor of the motion? That is carried. Thank you. 11.53 road status winter plowing and consideration Sunset Drive, the one that we had the questions on earlier. I'll get the motion and then we'll go from there.
That report CS 1326 regarding road status and winter plowing consideration Sunset Drive be received, and that winter plowing continue on Sunset Drive without prejudice and precedence until such time as a global roads inventory and unified policy is prepared by staff for council consideration, and that such winter plowing be provided on Sunset Drive when accumulations are greater than 100 millimeters, 4 inches. And that report CS 1326 be referred to the May 11th, 2026 council agenda for same day ratification.
Moved by Councillor Goff, second by the deputy mayor. So obviously we've got these all across the township, and it's unfortunate for the folks that live there when you find out that your road is not deemed an open road. There would have been a reason why back in the day, like I think one of the original subdivision agreements showed another subdivision to the east, and that road Sunset is supposed to go straight across, join onto the other road, and then come out at a side road, and it was never completed, which is why we would not have assumed it at the time, because I believe the others have a cul-de-sac. This one doesn't. It's not supposed to have a cul-de-sac. It's supposed to join up to a road on the east, I believe, on the original plan that never got completed. So that would be my best guess of why the township didn't assume the road, because it was not completed. But again, this is going back several years. Councillor Goff and then Deputy Mayor.
Mr. Bruce has asked that we share the rationale and the historical data with him so that he can understand. Can we do that? And then that way.
I guess this would be a Ryan question. Go ahead, Ryan.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we can certainly respond to freedom of information requests and provide records that way. That's an important mechanism for us to track the number of requests and the responsive records, and we have an obligation to report that way. And so I would just suggest that that be the mechanism if that were something that were being considered.
Yeah, that gave me more hands. So I'll go to Deputy Mayor, give your hand up originally, and then I'll go around the table.
Just a couple questions. I think we're still maintaining the levy. 4 inches.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the previous policy had just said that there was winter maintenance. We wanted to make sure it was defined, so it was clear to us and the residents of what those expectations were.
Okay, and the second piece is with our road study, so this is when we're going to do
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we're working on a road inventory to determine ownership and assumption and those pieces. This is definitely, and we're looking at the entire township for those.
Okay, Councillor Snutch.
Two things. One is, I don't think we need to go through the freedom of information here. If they want the information, there's enough of a community that wants it. I think we should just provide it. Second of all, in reading this is obviously the long-term plan is not going to be solved until the next council. Can we give these residents the comfort that this will continue throughout the next winter season in case we not leaving everything to the last minute?
Well, that's what the
That's what
motion
it
says.
is, until further notice then.
Yeah, 4
Okay.
inches, the road will be plowed whenever there's 4 inches of snow. That's
Right.
what the motion says. And it refers back to, again, we finally put a number on it where periodic doesn't really tell you when the plow is coming, does it? And you can see the original motion that there was some were assumed, other ones were given gravel and not plowed. It's all in the report here. I think was it Cooper's Road, unassumed, but gets minimal grading and gravel, but doesn't say it's plowed. Like it's each one got a different level of service back in the day based on service it had been getting up until that point. And because I remember some of these discussions, when you look at the roads, you never want to take away a service, even if it's an unopened road. If we've been providing a service, we've always maintained that same level of service. So now we're putting a clear number to the periodic plowing. So at least, you know, Councillor Bell.
Thank you. So I have a number of, first of all, thank you to my community for being here today, but I have a number of concerns. So the first one is that none of this belongs in closed session, in my opinion. Other municipalities have adopted strategies when they deal with not just unassuming roads, it's unassuming roads and it's these found properties, I'll call them, that have remained in subdivisions where folks have deeded access, for example, to they used to call it bathing rights, so the water side and things like that. So we have a policy, we don't have a bylaw. And I think that's an issue. So I think in sum total, and also I don't believe any of those other 3 roads have a cul-de-sac. They all just end, correct, right? So there are no cul-de-sacs. They are all just, they just straight end at the field. That's right. So I think there's discrepancy where the township's position is seemingly that we didn't assume the road and the community's position is that we assumed the road. They have presented us with the plans of subdivision and other documents to uphold that the road is assumed. And we've held this conversation half enclosed and half in open. So again, I believe the conversation belongs in open session. I believe the community, if we do this, we need to figure out what the policy is overall. So while I'm satisfied to say that in the interim, pending a policy, a proper bylaw being developed, that maintenance is maintained on the road and that. And at the same time, we are going to go look at some of those other municipalities, and they include Brock, North Frontenac, Kawartha Lakes, Blue Water, Southgate, just off the top of my head, the 5 that I've got here and that I can reference, who have policies in place. Sometimes the bylaw includes a committee similar to a committee of adjustment or some sort of an appeals committee that evaluates each of the roads and makes a decision on assume, not assume based on particular criteria. And I think that's the direction we need to go. So I am in agreement that we continue servicing the road, and my amendment would be that we also develop a bylaw that it clearly sets expectations and helps the future council understand and the residents. And then my third part is that we release all of this from closed session where it belongs.
All right, so there's a difference between a bylaw and a policy. Roads are deemed open by bylaw, period. And this road has not been deemed open by bylaw. In fact, it was pulled off the committee report originally. The other ones were deemed open by bylaw. This one was not. So for whatever reason the council had of the day, it was not assumed as an open road. And there could have been construction. I don't know, it wasn't there. But all roads that are open are deemed open by bylaw. This one is not. And so it falls in with some of these other, and that's the list that I think Laura is going to work on getting to the council so that you see which roads are not open, which roads are not assumed, what level of service we do. That's for the policy. You're not going to have a bylaw to put a certain level of service on an unopened road. It'll be a policy to do, which is what this falls under. So we're going to continue the policy of 4 inches. We're just now clearly defining 4 inches of snow versus, I think before it said periodic plowing, which doesn't benefit anybody because what's periodic? So again, the road has never been deemed open by bylaw, nor should we without a proper report and seeing what's under the road. Anytime we want to deem a road open, it has to be brought up to our standards. That's the bylaw that's on the book now. If you want us to assume or open a road, it must be brought to township standards. And I believe this road is not at that level, correct? That's, I'm getting a no there. So I'm not sure what you're looking for, Councillor Bell, but this continues the level of service on the road until such time as the report with all the roads that are not open and the current level of service is presented to council for discussion at that time.
I guess I'm looking for a policy that helps council or a committee determine which roads we assume and which roads we don't assume and what the criteria is that allows assumption versus non-assumption. So other municipalities have developed those policies. Some municipalities have done that via internal. Some have done it with committees who review. You identify a road like this one on January, whatever, and it goes in front of a committee who has a list of criteria, who makes a determination. This road meets criteria to be assumed, or it does not, but it isn't based on, as you just said, we have all kinds of roads and they're all done differently. They shouldn't be done differently, and it shouldn't be, and I don't know how that was done in 1947 with this plan of subdivision or since, but the risk, of course, is that it's, well, you're my friend, so your road gets assumed, you're not, so your road doesn't. And that, I don't know what happened in the last 70 years or whether that happened or didn't, but I know that that's what the risk is. If you don't have a clear policy or a bylaw, whichever, however you want to do it, that says this is how we make a decision on assumed, unassumed, then we're always going around flying by the seat of our pants. So I would want the amendment to include, as I said, full transparency on this matter so that all of it comes out of closed session where it belongs. And secondly, that we are prepared to develop a policy, whether that includes a committee or not, that allows for a fair assessment process of roads that are assumed versus not assumed as they come up. This may not be the last one. There could be more.
That exists already. We have a bylaw to when we assume roads, and they must be brought to our standard. And that's, we've just done some. I try and think now. Stone Court was one. There was another one we just assumed in Seabright where a new subdivision went in and it had to be brought up to our standard and the road was deemed open at that time. We've already decided which roads are open or not. We didn't. Previous councils do. They were deemed open by bylaw. Any road that wasn't deemed open by bylaw now must be brought up to township standards. That does exist. Like the policies you're asking for are already there. If we're going to assume a road, it must be brought up to standard, correct?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So we do have engineering design
Yes.
standards, criteria that have to be met in order for us to assume those roads. But this report specifically is talking about doing that inventory and bringing that policy forward for some of the pieces from the past that we have not necessarily completely understood, and explaining what those levels of service are. That is actually what we're proposing in this report. And that's the intent of that. However, the first step of the process is to do the inventory, and then in conjunction with that inventory, bring forward that policy. So I actually agree with the councillor that we do want to have a policy that explains here's the roads, here's the status, and here's the service levels that will be delivered. That will be coming in time, not currently. Once we have that road inventory, that'll be the policy that comes to council.
Policy, but not the bylaw.
Correct.
That's what I said earlier. There's difference between bylaws and policies. Bylaws deem roads open. Policies are the level of service you're providing to the road. But first we have to do the inventory. Right. I mean, I've seen the inventory because I've been here that long, but it's time this council was brought back again. Okay, so do I have an amendment? I have a motion. Do you have an amendment?
Okay, so I guess then if I'm hearing, thank you, by the way, and if I'm hearing that policy is coming, I appreciate that. So I guess what I would want to do with this is say that it's Yeah, okay, so you have the unified policy in here, so that's good. So the amendment would just be that the totality of communication around the Sunset Drive question is brought into open session.
I'll go to the CAO Jackson and the clerk on that one.
Through your worship, I'll certainly start, and if Ms. Zanussi has anything further. The decision of council to release items from closed session shall be dealt with in closed session to enable council to discuss the implications of releasing that information. You are not able to do that in public at this point in time. So if there is a desire to release information from closed session, that shall be done so in closed session.
All right. Counselor?
Okay, so then I guess the amendment would say, and that the Sunset Drive matter be revisited in closed session to determine moving it to open session.
Whatever other
However you
information
write.
could be moved. Do you have a seconder for that? Counselor Fisher? Right? So the amendment right now is just that we'll pass this today, but then we'll take another look at the in-camera items and see what can be released and what can't be. Everybody's understanding that? You have that in wording there, Madam Clerk?
Through the chair, if you'll just give a moment to draft, and then I can put that on the screen for committee's review.
I have no problem releasing information that doesn't need to be in camera. We have to see it first.
I'm not even sure if there was any information in closed council that was anything
Well, that's
different
why
that's been an open
Then
council.
what's been an open, I don't think there is, but we will find out. Yeah. Other than a legal opinion was the only thing I can think of, but yeah.
Can I just, while we're waiting, I just wanted to, back in those days, my father was actually on council and he's still alive today at 95. And he told me what he thinks he remembers from that situation. And when it came to council on that day, the builder asked for an amendment because he did not want that road assumed because he wanted to rebuild it to join to the subdivision to the east. According to him, he said council was fine with that. If he didn't want the township to assume it, then they would go along with the builder. So that's what I've heard from my father.
Kind of what I said, it's supposed to carry on. Yeah.
Through the
But we
chair.
never did.
Through the chair, we do have a draft ready. I'll put it on the screen, and then if you have any changes, please let me know. So the draft amendment is as follows. Moved by Councillor Bell, seconded by Councillor Fisher, that the motion before committee of the whole be amended to add the following, and that the previous closed session items regarding road assumption status of Sunset Drive be referred to the next committee of the whole closed session meeting to consider releasing the information publicly.
Perfect. Is that okay, Councillor?
Thank you. Yes, I guess the only other question or maybe piece of the amendment that would be needed is just a timeline, because we're saying that there's a policy coming back, but will it come back before next winter? So that we know how this
General
road
Manager.
is to be treated.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, no, this policy is meant, likely it'll take a significant amount of staff resources to do and to develop. We are expecting it to be at some point in 2027 or 2028.
Right.
This
Which is why we're saying 4 inches of snow. This will get us through the
This
winter.
exact project that Councillor Bell is talking about started under the 2 CAOs ago. So we've already said we're going to do that roads study need and identify and put proper signs up on all the unassumed roads. It's just that I guess we just can't get it done because of the shortage of staff or whatever.
Well, it was
It's a big job.
it was before you were here.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, I can't speak to what was done before, but we are moving forward. We do have signage that we will be posting as the springs come through, so that we can put posts in the ground, and we're working on that.
And we now have the roads need study completed,
Correct.
so you'll be referring to that document as
Yes.
part of this. So on the amendment, if everybody's fine, all in favor of the amendment, that carries. Now, so the motion as amended. All in favor? That is carried as well. So why don't we, before we rise and reconvene as council, why don't we take a break? Come back at 11:15. Everybody fine with that? Rebecca, if you would, please.
Through the chair, I'll just need a mover and a seconder.
Moved by Counselor Goff, second by Counselor Fisher, that we take a break for 15 minutes. Thank you. Okay, looks like I got everybody back. Nate, whenever you're ready. We are back live. I will get my clerk to confirm I still have my quorum.
To the chair, yes, I can confirm you have quorum.
Okay, thank you. I will now look for the motion to rise from committee of the whole and reconvene as council.
That the recommendations of committee of the whole be referred to the next regular meeting of council to be held on June 8th, 2026, with the exception of the following items, which shall be referred to consent agenda B today. Motions arising from closed session discussions, item 11.1.1, litigation update and strategy, road widening on Ramara Road 47 matter. Departmental reports, item 11.5.1, implementation of bids and tenders. Departmental reports, item 11.5.2, renovation of the Ramara Center washrooms. Departmental reports, item 11.5.3, road status and winter plowing consideration, Sunset Drive. And that committee of the whole rise and council be reconvened at 11:16 a.m.
Okay, mover and a seconder, moved by Councillor Goff, second by Councillor Fisher. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. So now we'll go on to the consent A report from the April 27th meeting.
Through the chair, so we do have these together in a consolidated vote, but if council would like to vote or discuss on any of these separately, please let me know and we can pull them to do so. So currently the reports as listed are that the recommendations as set out in consent agenda A, reports from the April 27th, 2026 committee of the whole meeting be adopted as presented, including the following items. 12.1.1, adopting an administrative monetary penalty system, AMPS, for the Township of Ramara. 12.1.2, community engagement. 12.1.3, road needs study and 2026 road projects. 12.1.4, joint compliance audit committee 2026 municipal elections.
So that's our last committee meeting. Anybody want one of them pulled for a separate vote? Councillor Bell.
Thank you. I don't necessarily need it pulled for a separate vote, but I want to speak to the AMPs. I just want to speak to it. I don't
Okay,
need to
no,
pull it.
that's fine. We can have a discussion once I get the motion on the floor. So moved by Councillor Fisher, second by Councillor Tuyu, and go ahead.
Thank you. I just, mostly I'm speaking to the public. So I did put up a post and to collect feedback. I asked specifically, can I have feedback so that I would know what the public is thinking? And I received very few pieces of feedback, but because I did that, I want to acknowledge what I received. So the concern that I heard from residents was around the pros and cons list, and the con where, does it mean that we don't have our day in court? And I did explain that there's a screening officer and a hearing process that is independent. So in effect, it is a day in court. It's albeit a slightly different one. So that was the one concern that was raised. So I think that's just, I just want to point out it's to me a more motivator about the education side of it. And then the other concern that was raised was this: how do I know it will only apply to these 4 or 5 particular bylaws? And I was able to say at this moment, at this time, the motion we're carrying reflects only these bylaws. But what I can't say is that it won't encompass other bylaws in the future. And so I guess what I would want to hear is just confirmation. And again, this is just for the sake of the public, that if the administration felt that it wanted to expand the parameters of the AMPs, that could not happen unless it came back to council and council amended that bylaw and any policies attached to that bylaw.
Correct, because you'll notice there's a bunch of bylaws we have to amend at the end of this meeting. So it would require a bylaw amendment. I'm getting the nod from Brian. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, just to interrupt and I'll let Brian speak. Absolutely, it would come back to council, but there would be, just to be, as you say, transparent and forth with as of January 1st, 2026, a lot of charges under the Ontario Fire Code are now capable to be applied by AMPs. So there may be an appetite in the future to look into that. And simply for all the same reasons, to streamline the process, to have an open and transparent, and allow us not to delay moving forward on things by up to 2 years. So through the court process, we can deal with things within 30 days. And that's the only appetite. But again, nothing moves forward without the approval of council.
Perfect.
I didn't know, Brock.
Sounds like you covered it all. I'm getting the nod. Okay.
Thank you. And then there was only one final piece, which was that, and this is, would be more broad, I guess, but I'm going to raise it because it came connected to this particular matter, which was that the public notice, it referenced that there had been staff reports on April 13th, and then the memo that I had requested came back on April 27th, which was great. And I was also able to explain that a public notice is a legislative process. But the resident feedback that I had was the only attachment to the public notice was a very legal-like document. And if a resident had wanted to bring their feedback, they had a hard time reading that document, and they wouldn't have understood what feedback to bring us in those 2 weeks. So they were hoping that maybe even the link to the April 13 and 27 had also been present in the public notice, if that's possible under our policy for legislative notice, or that there was some other way of giving the easier to read language with the public notice to facilitate their ability to give the feedback in that 2-week period.
I see him taking a note. All right. Okay.
Through the chair, so just that public notice was related to the fees and charges bylaw, because there's an amendment to it that is related to AMP. So we're under our notice policy are required to put out a notice of that 10 days prior to the meeting where it will be considered. It is certainly something we can look at in the future, where if there is a reference to a report, we can link it. This was a bit of an unusual situation where it's one of the first we've had similar to that. So it's certainly something we can look at for our practices going forward.
Thank you.
Okay, so the motion on the floor, all in favor? Opposed, if any, that is carried. Thank you. So that brings us up to item 13 now, because none of them were pulled. So, and that is reports from the current meeting.
So
Now, I know Councillor Bell, you had one you didn't want approved today, but I think you're in support of the motion. You just questioned the need for it being done today.
Yeah, and I guess because I had asked for the compound motion to be broken. We do, I think in general, a lot of compound motions, and it makes it very difficult as a council member to be able to state the position you have on a given matter when it's compound. And I believe that Robert's rules allows for compound motions to be broken. I'm not going to live or die on this argument today. I am in principle, again, very much I 100% in principle, I absolutely support working with Aurelia. I just don't support doing engagement and spending money until we have answers. So I would want that compound motion broken so I can vote appropriately to it. That's my request.
So what I'll do is, can we pull that one for a separate vote, Rebecca?
Through the chair, that motion is actually not being brought forward for same day ratification. That's being referred to the June 8th meeting for council ratification. So I can read the 4 reports that are on the agenda for same day ratification. And then if there is one where you would like to either divide the question or have a separate voter discussion on it, we can certainly do so with any of those. We can put the current motion on the screen, and then if there's anything that you'd like to pull for separate, just let us know. So currently we have that recommendations as set out on consent agenda B, reports from the current meeting for the regular meeting of council held on May 11th, 2026, be adopted as presented, including the following items. Item 13.1.1, litigation update and strategy road widening on Ramara Road 47 matter. Item 13.1.2, implementation of bids and tenders. Item 13.1.3, renovation of the Ramara Center washrooms. Item 13.1.4, road status and winter plowing consideration Sunset Drive.
It was the bids and tenders that you were questioning passing today. So I don't know if you wanted to pull. I think you're in favor of the motion though. All right. So we'll do it as one motion. Yes, Councillor Goff.
Sorry, back to our last motion. I think both the deputy mayor and I overlooked that we wanted to talk about the roads need study.
Oh,
just so I don't know, we can go back and just have a discussion. I'm all in favor of supporting it. But I just think there was a couple.
I haven't put the motion on the floor for the next item yet, so I think we can have some questions answered. Is that what you're looking for, sir? Because I haven't officially put the next motion on the floor, I don't believe.
Through the chair, the consent agenda B motion has not been put on the floor yet. The consent agenda A motion was put on the floor and voted on. So if there was a different direction that was seeking to be taken, that would be considered a reconsideration at this time. But the consent agenda B motion has not been formally put on the floor yet.
But I think we can have some questions answered if you'd like.
It's a question on.
Yeah. Go ahead, Councillor. Again, if you want anything separate, it would have to be noticed reconsideration, 2/3 majority.
I know we did have a resident here who both the deputy mayor and I attended his residence on Amelia Drive. and he wants to do a deputation. But I wanted to make sure that Amelia Drive gets addressed going forward. I know it's in part of the roads that are being continually flooded, but there was also a portion in there that floods, and Mr. Mayor, you'll remember that a building permit was issued in the past.
Yeah.
Last term of council, and I don't know about this term of council, but we wanted to have a drainage easement there. And I think through the changes in the province, the building permit was issued without us putting any conditions on it.
Right.
So I want to know if that could be taken into account, and maybe moving forward, that might be one of the solutions for the first section that floods there.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, so Amelia Drive is on the implementation plan. The road resurfacing needs to be done. It's currently indicated in year 5. So that's already on the plan. Then as part of the discussion in the road needs study was about these flood prone areas and what can we do to address those. So, and Amelia has been highlighted as one of the ones that we understand that that's a concern. So it will be considered. We need to identify some criteria and then go through those flood prone areas to prioritize those. That'll be in conjunction with when is the road due to be resurfaced. So knowing that Amelia is probably fairly high on the list, I just can't make any promises until we've gone through that prioritization for that improvement specifically for flood prone areas. For the second part about the drainage easement, we cannot put conditions about easements onto building permits, so it has to be applied. If that is the direction that we need to go through, that'll be other legislative tools that the township will have to investigate.
Yeah, that was one of the changes with the building homes faster. If you have a lot in record, you can get a building permit, and there can't be any holds put in place. So then they were able to come in and get their permit. Deputy Mayor, any comments on the same?
I think it was the same, but I mean, it was at the point that that road was pretty much, your exhaust was pretty much underwater the whole time. If you had slowed down, you would have had quite a bit of water inside your engine for sure. But it was bad. I hadn't seen it that bad in years. I do think the berm made a difference for sure, but I do think you're right. It's not just as easy as putting the berm back in place and dug out. That road has to come up. I think it has to come up at least 2 feet to really make it properly done. But yeah, I think that the road study will come back and say that. I am concerned they're not getting mail. They're not getting garbage as well. So I think there's a big concern with that. So I don't know how we address that.
General Manager?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that's a separate discussion, and we were waiting to see what direction the lake is continuing to go. It is continuing to drop, and the forecast is there's a little bit of rain in the forecast, but again, the amount of water in the ground and the frost being completely out now means that the ground will be able to handle it a little bit more, that we can continue to drop. We are going to, myself and the roads foreperson are going out this afternoon. We're going to take a look and figure out what other alternate arrangements we can have there to make sure that they continue to get service delivery.
Councilor Bell.
I guess I didn't know we were going to go down roads of this right now, and I'm not going to, but I don't think it's just Amelia is all I'm saying. We have a real problem on at Lakeshore or Lake, sorry, where the split is. That entire area was flowing from the lake and the lagoon onto, as I'm sure you went over and saw, a number of properties. So I guess we're talking about more here than just road needs. We're also talking about drainage issues, and then that's separate. And I think that has to come under an entire separate package. So we have, the flooding, but we also have a drainage problem. So I just would say this is a much larger discussion.
Perfect. Okay. So now I will table the motion now for item 13, which is reports from the current meeting today. So I think did you read the motion yet, Rebecca? Go ahead.
Through the chair, I did, but I can reread it. The motion is as follows: that recommendations as set out on consent agenda B, reports from the current meeting for the regular meeting of council held on May 11th, 2026, be adopted as presented, including the following items. Item 13.1.1, litigation update and strategy, road widening on Ramara Road 47 matter. Item 13.1.2, implementation of bids and tenders. Item 13.1.3, renovation of the Ramara Center washrooms. Item 13.1.4, road status and winter plowing consideration, Sunset Drive.
Okay, so can I have a mover and a seconder? Nobody wanted any pulled, so moved by Councilor Goff, second by Councilor Snutch. On those motions, you got other questions? All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. None opposed. So now consent agenda C, which is 14.1. Did you have them individually? Do you want me to see if there's any need to be pulled? There's suggested motions here with each one of them. So does anybody want something different? And we'll pull them for a different discussion. Give her, Counselor to you.
Thanks. Yeah, mine was mostly to receive and sort of ask a question for each one. So it would
Okay.
require some discussion.
Okay, just discussions. Any other, nobody wants to change any of the motions? So I will get the motion on the floor. One you want to pull? Oh, no, you're going to put the motion on the floor. Yep.
Through the chair, the motion currently is as follows, that the recommendations as set out on consent agenda C, correspondence for the regular meeting of council held on May 11, 2026, be adopted as presented, including the following items. Item 14.1.1, support for the town of Northeastern Manitoulin and the Islands Resolution, tar and chip surface treatment. Item 14.1.2, support for the Township of Ramara's resolution, declaration of intimate partner violence as an epidemic. Item 14.1.3, support for the Township of Ramara resolution, Association of Ontario Road Supervisors Health and Safety request. And item 14.1.4, acting clerk memo dated April 24th, 2026 regarding AMO conference 2026 delegation requests.
Yes, and the only one I had, we did get support on the intimate partner violence on the CIP. I would suggest the rest of them, we're just highlighting that this is the first municipality. I expect a lot of them are going to come on and support. So you probably won't see them on our agenda anymore, but they will be on the CIPs. Yes, Councillor Fisher.
Thank you. Actually, item 14.1.4, I would like to have a deeper discussion and probably an amendment to the motion.
Okay, so we will pull the information package, which the delegation one, we will pull for a separate vote. Is that okay? So we just delete that one. So I will get a mover and a seconder on the rest of the items. Moved by Councillor Goff, second by Councillor Tuyu on the rest of the items. Any questions? Councillor Tuyu, you wanted to comment on some of them?
Thanks. Yes. So for item 14.1.1, the municipality of Huron Shores regarding tar and chip surface treatment. I wanted to ask our staff, are we having similar issues in Ramara Township with our tar and chip surfaced roads requiring more frequent maintenance as a result of the lighter oil treatment? And if we are having issues, do we have enough of this type of surface to warrant seeking an alternative to a traditional oil binder?
General Manager, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. At this point, no, these roads have been performing as expected, and we have not noticed anything that we would require additional maintenance on.
Okay, thanks. And then for item 14.1.2, regarding the Tweed correspondence, I get that we've already done that.
Yeah.
But so I just wanted to receive and acknowledge with gratitude to Nate, actually, our assistant clerk and our clerks department for sending out our resolution so quickly to the Premier, to the Minister of Children, Community and Social Services and Simcoe County after declaring intimate partner violence an epidemic, that our resolution has already inspired support from the municipality of Tweed. My resident, Heather Lewis, supported by the CFUW advocacy group, continues to go before other municipalities in this region, most recently Oro and Severn, with great success, but I had not expected it to go that far. Thank you again to this council, and thank you to Nate. And then for 14.1.3, regarding the correspondence from the Association of Ontario Road Supervisors, I was kind of shocked to hear what they were saying, what they have reported from various snow removal operators, such as individuals throwing large chunks of ice at an active piece of municipal equipment, residents threatening to kill a sidewalk plow operator, a man climbing onto his snow plow and refusing to get off until the driver agreed to plow his road next, 2 staff members confronted and aggressively accosted in public, one at a gas station and another while simply waiting in line for coffee, and a voicemail threatening to shoot a plow driver with a shotgun the next time that the street was plowed. This is unacceptable, and to repeat what I had said earlier, everyone has the right to feel safe on the job. I am asking that we receive and support their respectful request to the province on the changes they would recommend.
I think we did support the Orambadani one, did we not, when it came in? This is just Oxford supporting. I believe we did support Orambadani's, did we not, Rebecca?
So through the chair, currently this is to receive as information. I don't have a record of a previous receipt and support of this similar resolution. So it may have been on a previous CIP, but has not been on a previous council agenda to my knowledge.
So would you like a separate motion in on this one as well, Counselor?
Yes, please.
All right, we'll pull 1413 as well then, and we'll receive the other two. Okay, if there's no other questions, all in favor of 14.11, 14.12? That is carried. So, and then I think 14.13, Counselor Two, you would like to see it's supported. I guess we would endorse, it'd be the Ora Madani letter, not the Oxford, correct?
Through the chair, yes. So the current resolution, if we were to receive and support, we would be supporting the Oxford County resolution, which is supporting the Township of Ramara resolution. So
Yeah.
it's getting to the same end result. Yes.
Yeah, same result. Moved by Counselor Two, second by Counselor Goff. Any other discussion on that? You know, we had the same trouble during the ice storm with hydro crews, that they would just pull out of a road then because they were getting accosted, and they wouldn't return until they had a police escort, and which was unfortunate, but it actually slowed down the service for all the rest of the residents on those roads. But that's what happens when people get angry. Workers, you know, they demand a safe place to work, so then they just leave. So on this motion, all in favor? That is carried. And lastly, and again, thank you for pulling it, Councillor Fisher, is the AMO conference delegation that we're asking for the joint one, but I'd also open it up this time if any other delegations councils would like to have at AMO while we were there. We'd do one motion, and then we're talking about AMO. Let's see if there's any other delegations at the same time. So this one's asking for the joint one with our neighbors over the aggregate. I know we had one last year with just the M&R ourselves, but this time we want to win with a team and see if we can get a little more support. So is there any, on that one, any comments on that particular one? No. Any additional that council would like? Councillor Fisher, then Councillor Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. You can go first if you want. Okay. So knowing that we are going into an election year and some of the things that we might be asking might not be in the same line of what the new council would want to go for. And I know typically we have fewer delegations during an election year. That being said, I think something that can be strongly supported regardless of who's sitting around the horseshoe is having conversations with the Minister of Solicitor General, Minister Kersner, about the costs that are being downloaded by the province with regards to the OPP. I know that we have sent resolution letters and asked for support letters from other municipalities within Ontario to move forward, but I think it would be very important that we put a face to this and ask in person that they have reconsideration. And I've written down 4 things. Of course, more or less could be added or removed of the request that we could put into this delegation. One would be to, of course, review the current OPP billing method. 2 would to be increase the provincial cost sharing. 3 would be to improve predictability and transparency when we go into budgets with projects, when we keep pushing things down the road because of costs, not knowing what this is going to be. And then 4, to actually engage with the municipalities in consultation when they're making their decisions. I know, Mayor, you and I had spoke about, and it was a decision around this table, we actually pulled money out of the reserves to keep our taxes down. And had we not done that, just what our tax portion was pretty close to what the OPP cost would have been had we not pulled out of the tax stabilization for that. So I think we need to be a loud voice at the table. I think it's great that we've sent letters, sent requests and everything on paper. And it's wonderful that we get the support from the municipalities within the province to do that. But sometimes I feel perhaps if we're sending similar things, then they're just kind of like, oh, yep, it's another one, and push down. I think if we get there with a voice on the table and say, look, this is crippling. You know, it's been pointed out already by Councillor Bell, like we have limited growth right now within the township. We're not bringing the subdivisions in at the need to support the rising costs of everything else, including a provincial service, and our infrastructure is getting older. There's well, I've written all kinds of things that we all know, like there's all these extra demands that are being placed on our taxpayers to download these significant costs. I think we really, my opinion is I think we really need to be a loud voice at the table and kind of set the tone on behalf of our residents, but also the people in Ontario. But on behalf of our residents specifically, we just cannot afford to continue down this path if we're relying on reserves to stabilize our tax rate. We're going to run out of reserves and the costs aren't getting cheaper.
So I think that's still the right ministry. I think OPP would fall. I know we're talking about some of the financial implications of that. Rebecca, what's your feeling on that?
So through the chair, I do know that AMO has been doing a large amount of advocacy with relation to this matter. If this was something that the township wanted to pursue as a separate delegation, I would just ask for a brief recess so we could get this motion wording drafted compared to what Councillor Fisher has brought forward. It says I hadn't received that wording before, so it may take a few moments just to get that drafted.
I can do that. Is there any other delegations though council would want? And then we'll get the list and we'll take a recess while we get before Deputy Mayor and then up and down the table.
I think one that we kind of talked briefly with the rep last year during the trade show was natural gas. I think we should be, because phase 3 has been approved. I think we need to get in there in front of them right now and work with Jill towards putting an application forward for that phase 3 expansion into Brecken. The other one is we should be meeting with the Minister of Health. I think we should need to go and thank her. And I know that she did ask Jillian if we would be interested in doing some kind of a session there at AMO. So I don't know where that's at, but maybe staff could follow up because I did say that we'd be more than willing to do that. Talking about how we brought a doctor to the township.
So we'll get them all out and then we'll have a vote on each one that we want to add and then I'll get Rebecca to draft it up, right?
So through the chair, we don't currently have the original motion on the floor. So what we could do is put the original motion on the floor and then deal with each of these separately as amendments to that motion. So we would just need a recess to craft those amendments if that is the direction that council would like to take.
All right, so you'll move the original motion. Councillor Goff will move the original motion on the floor, seconded by the Deputy Mayor. So it's on the floor now, and now these amendments, we'll do each amendment separately once Rebecca gets something drafted up. So you'll second that, the natural gas. I want to make sure I have seconds. Somebody will second the police one. Yep, I got, okay, any more? I'll go down. Minister of Health, yes. Everybody?
It was actually the deputy mayor beat me to the punch
Okay.
there with,
Right.
I think we should be meeting with the Ministry of Energy
Yes.
regarding natural gas.
So we've got to move.
And Enbridge, I know Enbridge usually has a contingency there, and I know our staff has been meeting and working with Enbridge, but I think that's a big thing that we need to push moving forward because development has stalled because there is no natural gas.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we need to grow.
All right, any others? Councillor Bell.
Thank you. As far as Minister of Health, I think it's important that we've popped back in. So we have one doctor and we know that's 2,400 ability for 2,400 patients. So we know the second doctor is being worked on, which is great, takes us to 48. But I think it's still important that we remain part of the conversation and because the Ontario health teams their direction is continually changing right now. And I think it's just important that we're part of that conversation. But what I would add is with Minister of Transportation, we had 800 plus residents sign a request that there is a more fulsome discussion around solving the now recently often 3-hour delays at Brecken grade crossing. And we have multiple residents pretty much trapped on the other side. And when we take into consideration, and our fire services will know, the cascading event did occur so that there were issues to the south, which meant I don't know where ambulances were coming from and how long that was going to take. So I think that conversation needs to keep going because we need to know which partners are going to work with us. It used to be said to me that back when O'Donnell was talking about it, it was a decade-long conversation. So I feel like we need to keep having it so that it doesn't take a decade.
So MTO, you'll second that one? Yes.
Just that. I know in the past, we've talked about meeting again with MTO over that. And we had sort of job to do, and I don't know whether we've done that job and looked at engineering and design.
Because MTO's answer on the 4th is it's our road. Now the highway, different. The highway crossings falls under their jurisdiction, but the 4th concession, Simcoe Street, follows under ours. Go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So my understanding is that, and this is still there, we had originally reached out to Tatham to do some preliminary. The price tag on it at the time was $17 million. And I know that there's some cost sharing there, but again, I didn't know if the direction had been that we were to pursue that further, trying to balance all of the other priorities that the township has, because it is a pretty significant undertaking for that bridge.
I think we would have to commit to building the bridge first and then be after to see what kind of funding we could get when the final design is done, if there's grants. However, we did meet MTO last year on the roundabout, and they were going to be surveying, which I've seen the crews out there. So it wouldn't hurt to get a follow-up on what they, and we could tag a small discussion on the bridge at the same time, but I would make the primary one to follow up on the turning circle as well. So if we have those two items, then at least you can play one and the other. And you're fine with that, Deputy?
Yeah, I was just going to add to that we have to be very cautious when we're going. I know that when we had the meeting with CN, it was very clear that if we deemed a road unsafe because of the train tracks, and it was our decision to make that and deem that, we're 95% responsible for whatever the cost of the bridge is, and they shut it down. That road, right, access to it. So if it's the other way around, they pay 95%, we pay 5%. So it's important how we deal with this and approach this.
Mm-hmm. Councillor Bell.
Yeah, and the only thing I guess what I'm saying is we also need our MP to be involved in this conversation. I realize that's not AMO, but this conversation is much larger. I just watched some folks bring things in front of the House for 200 or 300 signatures, and in this case, we had nearly 900 community members saying, A, I'm afraid. And B, there's economic impact, and on we go. So we know what all the concerns are, but primarily it's public safety and it's public health. And staying engaged with the provinces, I agree, only one piece of it, but I still think that we have to stay engaged with the province in order to keep an open door to this conversation. So I think it's important that this happens.
I guess we could frame the discussion around if there are grants coming available, because, if we're design ready, which we're not quite there yet, but if we were design ready, would there be grants available for this type of major upgrade? So if we stage the conversation around that, we're keeping the door open. We're not committing ourselves to a 17 or $25 million initiative, but we're seeing if there's something that might be potentially there. And again, the turning circle while we're at it. So if everybody's in agreement with those, we'll give Rebecca a bit of time to draft that up anymore.
Well, can we, since AMO is in Ottawa.
Yes.
And our MP is usually there, can we not bring him to support us?
If the MP, if he's there, I think he's usually.
I don't know if that's overstepping because it's a provincial
It's
matter.
never overstepping. A request is never overstepping.
We can ask and see what his feedback is. I would put it that way. We can. So with that, but that we can do, we don't need a motion for that. I can just extend the invite. So if you got everything, is there any others? And we'll do them as, I think, 3 or 4 separate amendments. We'll vote on them each, and then we'll vote on the main motion as amended. So I need to, you need a few minutes?
Through you, Your Worship, yes, clerk staff will need a few minutes to draft each of those motions, probably at least 10 minutes, Your Worship, would be great. And just for confirmation, the Ministry of Health, is it just simply the request is related to doctor recruitment?
Yes.
Just so we're clear? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great. So if you can perhaps call a recess, Your Worship, and enable staff to prepare those motions, that would be great.
All right, moved by Goff, second by you, that we just take a 10-minute break here. So 12 o'clock, we'll come back, finish. And then I think it's just the bills and bylaws. Is it anybody's computer says 12 noon? I'm patiently waiting here. Are we good? And again, Madam Clerk will confirm I still have my quorum.
Through the chair, I can confirm you still have quorum.
Okay, so now we have we had the original motion and which we don't need read, but maybe we'll do the amendments one at a time.
Through the chair, so we have 4 amendments for consideration, which we'll put on the screen and we'll go through one by one. So the first amendment is moved by Councillor Fisher, seconded by Councillor Goff, that the motion before council be amended to include the following. Thanks for your patience. So that the motion before council be amended to include the following. And that a delegation be requested to the Ministry of the Solicitor General regarding the OPP billing model, including increased provincial cost sharing, improved predictability and transparency, and engagement and consultation with municipalities.
Okay, moved by, well, it disappeared on me. I have a mover and a seconder, so all in favor? That is carried. So we'll do the second one.
Through the chair, moved by Deputy Mayor Bell, seconded by Councillor Goff, that the motion before council be amended to include the following, and that a delegation be requested to the Ministry of Energy regarding a follow-up on phase 3 of natural gas expansion, including the provision of gas service in the Township of Ramara.
Okay, all in favor? Carried as well.
Through the chair, the third amendment is as follows. Moved by Deputy Mayor Bell, seconded by Councillor Bell, that the motion before council be amended to include the following, and that a delegation be requested to the Ministry of Health regarding a follow-up on physician recruitment efforts and support for rural and small municipalities.
Okay, follow up with the Minister of Health. Councillor.
Is there a delegation? Is that the same thing?
Yes, the delegation with the Minister of Health.
We are having a presentation, sorry.
Yeah, I asked staff to follow up with Julie, because she had asked us if we would participate in a session.
Right, but we don't need that tied to this motion, no.
And also too, I was just going to say Jillian's finished. Keep that in mind. So
Right.
just, yeah, so it's not, it's Monday. It's,
Melanie.
no, her last name is Monday. You know,
Oh.
Angela Monday. Yeah.
All right. So this is for the delegation, the Minister of Health, all in favor? That is carried, and I think there was one more.
Through the chair, there is
Thank
one
you.
more. So the final is moved by Councillor Bell, seconded by Councillor Goff, that the motion before council be amended to include the following, and that a delegation be requested to the Ministry of Transportation regarding a follow-up on the roundabout at Highway 12 and County Road 169 and funding opportunities for the Simcoe Road CN overpass of the CN rail. And that if the delegation request is accepted, the mayor be authorized to invite the MP for Simcoe North to attend the delegation meeting.
Okay, so we have a mover and a seconder, all in favor? That is carried. So now the main motion as amended. Yes, Councillor Bell.
Thank you. Oh, I have something to say on all of them, but I could wait till this one's done, I guess. Whenever you want me to say it.
Well, go ahead.
Okay, so what I want to say relates to the procedure bylaw, and I've noticed over the last months, and actually I've gone back to look at my emails and that sort of thing, and it's specifically when the administration stopped preventing me from putting items on the agenda. That's when we started adding the note about who pulled items from the CIP to the agenda. So I just want to point out that I'm hopefully that's going to stop happening. And when I pull items, they'll be placed on the agenda, number one. And then number two, I don't know how that procedure changed because the procedure bylaw did not require identifying who pulled an item from the CIP. So this was just a change made outside of our own procedure bylaw.
Well, nobody's prevented you from pulling items. Any counselor can pull items from the CIPC.
I'm not arguing about that. They have, and I have the emails to prove that. So
Through your worship, I will confirm that the administration has not prevented any member of council from placing something on the agenda. The administration follows the direction of council. We are obligated to do so, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
And furthermore, Mr. Mayor, just with respect to identifying who is pulling the item on the agenda, it is for clarity to understand which member of council would like the item to be placed on the agenda so that it's understood where that item is coming from.
Well, it makes it easier for me because then I know who to refer to when they have a motion or a suggested motion. If I know who pulls it, then I just refer to that council member. But it's not required. I've asked it as a courtesy so that I know who to address.
I appreciate that. And I hope that, I mean, I think it's a great idea and moving forward, I support it. I'm not going to sit and argue, but I will ask anybody who wants to FOI my email to, I can confirm today, for example, the inquiry motion that was seconded by Keith Bell regarding snowplow tracking was not placed on the agenda. It was seconded. It was requested more than once. It could have been placed on multiple agendas between then and now, and it still hasn't been. So yes, you have prevented me from placing items on the agenda. And there was another email with 4 CIP items that you did not place on the agenda. And the administration is aware of that. Mr. Mattson is aware of that because he has been copied on that email. And I'm asking today to confirm that when I pull something from the CIP, it will be placed on the agenda.
Then I'm going to ask you to follow council policy and properly address the emails to the people that you are to address them to, or they will not be responded to. They must be addressed properly. You are well aware of the process and you've been advised of the process. With that, I'm moving on. Follow the process. Everything you want will land on the agenda. With that, I'm moving on. Did we call the vote? No, the vote on the main motion. I don't think we need to see it again. We all saw it. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor. And these are the presentations. Thank you. So now we are on to item 15. Climate Action Committee recommendation for Earth Day.
Through the chair, the motion is as follows, that the memo dated May 5th, 2026 from the Climate Action Committee regarding the Earth Day Community Cleanup Program be received, and that council direct staff to review the feasibility of expanding the current Earth Day Community Cleanup Initiative into a year-round program, including operational requirements, costs, availability of supplies, and waste collection logistics, and report back to council.
I'll get a mover and a seconder. We'll get it on the floor. Moved by Councillor Tuohy, second by Councillor Fisher. I can support, there have to be a coordination done with the general manager, but if people want to pick up garbage on the roadsides, I'm all in favor of taking it away when they leave it in the bags. And we've always provided that when we can. So is there any concerns from staff on this one? I know there may be a cost depending on how many volunteers want to come forward, but I think we certainly should help them when we can.
I saw people on 169 today.
Yeah. Councillor Bell.
Sorry, I think Councillor Tuohy wanted to speak to it, so I should let her first, I guess.
I did, thanks.
Go ahead, Councillor.
Yeah, just as chair of that committee, I can speak to it a little bit. So in acknowledgement of the increased impacts of climate change, the Climate Action Committee feel that it might be important to give more than one day or month to promote Earth Day activities. One of our members pointed out that this municipality is much more densely populated in the summer months when seasonal residents are here, resulting in an increase in roadside litter. It would make sense if we could basically still have this program available year-round for those that felt inclined to do roadside cleanups, and that having some extra bags and gloves on hand would not generate a huge cost. Additionally, the problem with limiting this initiative to just April is that for the first week or so, there is still snow at the roadsides covering the trash. And then in the last couple of weeks, we're dealing with flooded ditches, making it very tricky for us to do a proper cleanup during the month of Earth Day.
Okay, any other comments on this item? Councillor Bell.
Yeah, just to add to it. Also, back in 2023, I was supported in a motion that staff would arrange a coordinated community event to clean up roadside garbage in conjunction with Earth Day itself. And again, we're not looking back, but at that time, I did send emails to members of council, but nobody had wanted to join me in that initiative. And ultimately, it was going to be CAO Drinkwalter who was going to work with me, and then he didn't. So, which was likely not appropriate anyway. But I would like this motion to include more than just, I love the idea of bags and gloves being available all year. But I also would like us to do what I was hoping to do back then, and that I did do in my community, which was that the community centers would open up on Earth Day or close. If we can't do it on Earth Day because of those reasons, flooded ditches and those sorts of things, even if we choose our own Earth Day and we do it later into the summer, that the community centers all have a concerted effort on one day, that bags and everything are available there, that people can fill the bags and take them back to the community center. So there's a low impact on the infrastructure department to pick up the bag. My front lawn was filled. My street was spilling into my street from the bags of garbage that were done. So I think it needs to happen. And I just think that all the other municipalities around us have great Earth Day celebrations, and I want us to be doing that too. So even if it's just that the committee considers bringing back a recommendation for an an improved Earth Day itself, I would like that to be added to the motion.
Well, whether we do a township, traditionally they're volunteer driven, like community centers are all volunteers. The Earth Day, the cleanup we used to do was Brecken and Beyond used to organize it, and we'd do Highway 12 and all downtown Brecken and all the way up to the 5th side road actually is how far we would go, but I haven't seen the volunteers come forward as late. But that is traditionally volunteer led, and any municipality I know, it's volunteer led. They have associations that come forward and work with the municipality. So we're certainly there if they want to come forward, or we could have looking and doing our own celebration, but that would be next year, I guess. Be something for the new council to look at when we're doing committees. Councillor Snatch.
I think with the committee being formed, they're going to come up with a lot of recommendations over the next little while. And I think we should leave it up to the committee. And if the committee wants us to consider other things, we're more than open to it, but this is a good start in the right direction.
Yep. Now the volunteers can come forward. So the motion, did you have an amendment, Councillor Bell?
Oh, it can be a question if Councillor Tuju doesn't mind answering a question. If a member of council wishes to have the Climate Action Committee consider something, are you willing to receive a memo from members of council making requests to the committee to place things on your agenda for discussion?
I think that would be very helpful. We are an advisory committee. So I think it would be helpful if we could all work together toward the same thing.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Alrighty. So on the motion, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Now I have 15.2.
Through the chair, that the memo dated May 5th, 2026 from the Climate Action Committee regarding township representation on a watershed council be received as information at this time.
So mover and a seconder we're just receiving it at this time. It's what the motion said. Councillor Goff, second by Councillor Fisher. Any questions or comments? This leaves the door open for a later date. Go ahead, Councillor Tuju.
Right. With the new amalgamated conservation authorities, Ramara will continue to pay fees. However, we will no longer have representation, and therefore we won't have a voice on the new Lake Huron Region Conservation Authority when the changes take effect on February 1st, 2027. One of the committee members pointed out that we could get ahead of this by making this request as outlined in the motion, and we could even assist staff in drafting this letter if necessary.
I thought 2027 was status quo, though. We would still pay as the local municipalities. In 2028, it will be uploaded fully to the county level. We'll pay the levy, and then each county has one representative is kind of how they've streamlined it. I'm not sure. I don't think the province has decided what the fate of the local boards are over the next year as they're phasing this in. I would rather wait until we have a discussion with the Conservation Authority to see what their term. My suggestion would be receive it today, but we kind of keep the door open here until we see what they've got planned for the next year. That would be my preference, but Councillor.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I mean, keeping in mind, we do have a member from the Conservation Authority on the Climate Action Committee, and this was recommended by all members of the committee, saying that the best thing to do before they've sort of created these various watershed councils is to just get ahead of it by indicating that there's an interest from Ramara Township that we have someone representing. That's all this is. Just as like a placeholder.
I'm still leaning towards the receive at this point. What's your feeling?
That's the same as me until we actually meet with the conservation.
So we want to meet with the conservation first. So we'll just receive his information. That's what I'm hearing from council at the moment, Councillor, but it's still an open file.
Okay, great. So long as it can be revisited.
Yes, yes. I'm getting a nod from the clerk and the CAO. So all in favor of receiving it at this time? Thank you. That is carried. So postponed motions, I have none. Planning motions, I have none. Deputation motions, none. No notices of motion. And motions, council motions previously given, none. Inquiry motions, I do have one.
Through the chair, moved by David Snatch, seconded by Dana Tuyu, that staff in collaboration with the County of Simcoe be directed to prepare a report to council on the feasibility of a tax rebate for residents who do not receive garbage collection services due to the service not being provided in their areas.
Gonna have to get you to explain this one, Councillor Snutch, because again,
Yeah, no, it's not, we need some adjustments to the wording there, but I've asked this question, it's been in many discussions, but the residents of Lagoon City who are in the multi-unit buildings do not receive to the best of my understanding, do not receive garbage pickup, and they are provided a credit on their taxes. From what I understand, it's a small amount of money. And so this was a matter of looking into. We've had 2 or 3 roads cut off in Ward 1 where the garbage trucks are no longer going down because the road's not up to the standards that they want. And I'm just wondering if those residents should be entitled to the same rebate that an individual receives in Lagoon City or any other part of the township where they don't get garbage removal service. And I think this has been going on for a long time. And really, my motion was to find out exactly how it works. I was trying to figure out, are these people entitled to it? Are they not entitled to it? And how can you tell someone that does get garbage delivery and someone who doesn't that it's included in their taxes? So that it was an inquiry motion to have our CAO meet with the county to find out how it is working now. And then if it's, should those credits be applied to other people? And if it's not working now, then what do we do to bring that up to date with the county? Because if you cut somebody's garbage services off, only from my previous understanding of Lagoon City, there was a credit provided. So,
I believe to get the credit, you have to show that you're recycling and doing organics. That's part of it. And that's what I believe the condos were showing, that yes, we are recycling. They have to have a private contractor do it. Then they could apply and get the rebate. But we can certainly have inquire of county what the stipulation is to get that rebate. And we just recently now, we no longer provide the rebate toward recycling because recycling has now been uploaded away from county. So if they want a rebate for recycling, they've got to deal with the province and what's the name of the company? Mterra, if they want to deal with it. But anything, I think, is it a big deal to inquire to what's required to the CAO if we just made that inquiry?
Through you, your worship, no, that's not a problem. Certainly, I will work with the county CAO and present something back for council's consideration.
Everybody fine with that? Councillor Bell?
Yeah, I just was going to say the rebate, and I have had an open email for quite some time to actually get a more fulsome answer to the question. The rebate, as my understanding, and not going to continue anyway. It's in place right now temporarily, and then for this year, as long as those who don't receive waste service continued with organic and recycling, the rebate would stay true for 1 more year. But at the end of that year, county intends not, and you would probably know better, one of you, but county intends not to continue with the rebate anyway. So that's one thing. And the other thing is I've raised this question nonstop for 3 years. So if there's a way to get a better answer to it, that'd be cool. But I think it's going to stop anyway. So it may just be a real quick thing.
Well, we'll get it part of the report. What we're doing is now is looking at providing the organic service to those condos. So then that trying to find a way to actually give them the service. So that's, I think, is what's in the works of county right now, but we can get it all when the report comes.
Sorry, just from all my experience working with the county, Simcoe, and the city of Barrie, city of Orillia, city of Barrie, city of Orillia have their own landfill. So they always gave some kind of a rebate based on that to a contractor they selected, or you'd have to do an application process through the city of Barrie. County of Simcoe has never given rebates on garbage itself. Recycling, they did choose certain multi-res to do it with. And that's what the discussion happened at county, and they've ordered it down to continue that. But garbage has always been something that is a pay for service for those, unless it's a county building. In my experience.
Right. We'll get the full report.
Exactly.
Why don't we just get the report?
Yeah,
We'll see where we're at.
Councillor Snutch is right. There is a small rebate that comes, but it's like $1 a bag or whatever. So it ends up being dollars. It's negligible anyway. But my understanding is, this is what I'm saying. County's stopping that. That's the email I have from them, that it's only staying in place for another year anyway. So it may be moved. But yeah, we may as well I'm in agreement with getting the report. I've been asking for it for a long time. So yeah, let's have it.
So yeah, the rebate we give is based on what it actually costs county per household to deal with garbage. So that's all the rebate is. We were pretty efficient at it. So we're going to get the report. Anything else on anything we'd like to see with it?
Well, no, I was just, so is this motion going to be reworded then?
No, the movers clarified it that it's a report we're looking for. So
I think the other thing too is if somebody moves into one of these streets, almost like Sunset, they moved in, last year, and now they're worried about the road. They weren't notified it was not assumed. It's the same when people move into these projects. Do we have a way of notifying these people there is no garbage delivery or pickup on these streets? I mean, if they wanted to, if they're buying a house, how do they find out whether the garbage is picked up on the street or not?
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's good for the prospective buyer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they complain after the fact.
Yeah. But that's, I think, an argument for another day, but we can
Well,
certainly.
maybe we can, I don't know how they find out.
Yeah, if there's a way to find out it's limited services is what would be the proper, and that's what impact, he's been informed that you have limited services. But I don't know if you can tie that to the report, how an individual, I'm getting kind of a nod, we can figure out how people can search that. Because they say the same with the unassumed roads. Our GIS mapping is where you want to show it. So when people click on an ad, oh, that's not an assumed road. So when they go on it, they can find when they're looking at properties. But we'll get the report and go from there. So all in favor of the report? That is carried. Thank you. So bills and bylaws, and I think we broke out the ones for the amps as a separate. I think you have two separate motions for us, Madam Clerk.
Yes, through the chair. So we have split these into two separate consolidated votes. But again, with either of these ones, if council would like to discuss or vote on any of these bills separately, please let me know. The first are sort of the standalone bills. So there are three included here. These are bills 2026.22, 2026.23, and 2026.24. So the motion is as follows. That bills 2026.22, 2026.23, and 2026.24 be considered read a first, second, and third time and finally passed as bylaws.
Okay, so mover, Counselor Fisher, seconder, Counselor Goff. Any questions on any of those bills? Not seeing any. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. And now the last run.
And through the chair, so this second one is related specifically to the bylaws connected to the AMPS program that was adopted by council earlier in this meeting. So these are as follows. That bills 2026.25, 2026.26, 2026.27, 2026.28, 2026.29, 2026.30, 2026.31, and 2026.32 related to implementation of the Administrative Monetary Penalty System, AMPS, be considered read a first, second, and third time and finally passed as bylaws.
Moved by Counselor Goff, second by Counselor Bell. And again, if any others are to be added down the road, that would be a separate bill that would have to come. So that's on the ones we agreed upon. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Confirmation bylaw.
The chair, that bylaw 2026.43 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council meeting held on the 11th day of May 2026 be considered read a first, second, and third time and finally passed.
Moved by Counselor Tulowitzki, second by Counselor Bell. All in favor? That is carried. And lastly, the adjournment.
The chair, that the council meeting of the Township of Ramara held on May 11th, 2026 be adjourned at 12:22 p.m.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor, second by Counselor Fisher. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you.